back, and I'm just going to be talking about how testing these broadheads went the other day and kind of showing you the cinder blocks, showing you where they actually hit, what effects they actually had on my arrow, and really just talking about like the accuracy and how they were compared to my field points on my typical shooting days and my typical arrows, and just kind of how they felt on my bow. Like, we're just gonna go into a long, not chat, but like, you know what I mean. We're just gonna talk about it and have a good time. So, here we go. Okay, so right here, we have what effects the G5 Striker Broadhead had on this here cinder block and my arrow. So as you can see on this one, I kind of hit low compared to my field point. But as for like my arrow, the only damage that happened was right there. It just kind of frayed my arrow a little bit, kind of like compacted it and did that, if you can see. But that's really all this one did. Since it was my first broadhead, it did make me feel kind of powerful, and I think that's why I liked it so much. But it was good to shoot. It didn't have any complications with me. I know it had some complications with Cade. He had some trouble putting it together and really had to use those band-aids that came in the package. But other than that, I think this was a really good one. Okay, on this one we used the Slick Trick Standard 100 broadhead. This one was more of like a low profile broadhead, so that's just what Corbin told me. Don't ask me what it actually means. For the most part, my arrow stayed like intact. The only thing that happened is it got like frayed out on the end. So let me come show you what that looks like. It's kind of heavy. I'm not meant for this. So it just kind of frayed up like that and kind of meshed with the broadhead in a way when it made contact. As for the cinder block, I hit pretty consistent on this one with my field point. As you can see, I hit right there. So I hit the top of this target right here. So I don't think I was really a fan of this one, but the accuracy was more on point with my field point than most. Also, on that Slick Trick one, my broadhead didn't stick in the target. So it like hit the target and I was like, oh, I don't want to be here, and kind of flew away. Just in case y'all wonder. You can always go back and look at that video. It was kind of cool. It was fun to make. It was fun to shoot broadheads and just like see what actually went on. But here we have the G5 Havoc broadhead. This is a 2-blade expandable, and oh, right there. I hit it right here. Sorry, I couldn't find it at first. Let me show you. So here, for the most part, my arrow stayed intact all the way through this way. The only thing it did was kind of what the Slick Trick did. It just compressed with the broadhead and kind of frayed out on the end. But that's pretty cool. I don't know if y'all can see this, but like, look at that. That's kind of awesome. Cool. And then as for the cinder block, I hit high on this one also. And as you can see, I hit right there on the cinder block. This one also made contact with the cinder block, but it didn't stick to it. It kind of bounced back. And I was like, whatever, I don't want to be here. So yeah. Okay, on this one, this is the one where we shot the G5 Montec M3, which is a 3-blade fixed blade. I liked shooting this one. It was kind of like crazy the impact it had. So I was shooting at a good like 20 yards, 25, 30 yards away from the target. I don't really know, I'm not gonna measure it, but. And once this made impact into the cinder block, my knock, as you can see, is not there, flew literally all the way back to like 5 yards away from me of where I was standing and where I shot from. So that was kind of crazy. I hit low on this one compared to my field point, but it stuck. And as you can see right there, there's no knock. I do not have a knock on this arrow anymore. Not that it really matters. And then also it affected this part right here. So you can see that that's no longer together and it does not fit at all. So that was kind of awesome. Okay, next we have the Sick 2-blade expandable. So, I really shouldn't be touching that. This one flew more consistent with my field points and hit the target more consistently than most of these. I know this one, like the arrow itself, flew back pretty far. It was kind of crazy. It didn't stick at all, but, and I wouldn't say it did a lot of damage to my arrow at all. So the impact, like the effect this one had wasn't really there. But as you can see, I mean, it kind of turned the broadhead a little bit and it kind of frayed it right there. It kind of meshed with the broadhead. But as for like the rest of my arrow, like that's all good. And then here's the cinder block. Ouch. I hit right there. That's super close to where my field points would usually be. So the accuracy on this one was way better. It shot just like my normal arrows would. So I do like that aspect of this. Okay, and last but certainly not least, the one that caused us literally the most trouble. So we shot this one first, and I really shot far right on this one and just nicked the cinder block. And that ended up with this. It kind of literally destroyed my arrow and broke it in half. Also, I just realized that the knock is no longer there, so I'm sure that's somewhere in here. It also changed the color of the broadhead a little bit because we did have sparks flying for a second there. That was crazy. It was kind of like very intimidating and scary for me. But for everybody else, they were probably like, oh, this is typical. She's just being a girl. Whatever. So because of that and how I shot it, it wasn't too accurate. So we decided to shoot another one, which is this bad boy right here. He made good contact with the cinder block. He wasn't too far off from my field point, so that was good. But we did have a lot of trouble setting it up. Just because of the way this cinder block is, just because of the way this broadhead is built, every time I would draw back on my bow, the broadhead would get caught on the main part of my bow and would detach the knock and the arrow would just kind of like fall, which is kind of scary for me because this was my first time shooting a broadhead and these things are very sharp and can cut something very easily. So I was kind of nervous about that and intimidated in a way, but thank goodness Corbin was there and was helping me out along the way, and eventually we figured it out and got this shot to happen. So let me show you this. So that's where I hit on the cinder block according to my shot. As you can see, the only damage that happened on this arrow was it just like meshed with the broadhead again and created some like fraying at the end, but other than that, like, it wasn't bad at all. I wouldn't shoot this one again. It was kind of difficult for me just because it made me super nervous the way it kept detaching from my bow, and it just kind of gave me like a lot of stress, and I don't need stress in my life right now. So I would stay away from that one, honestly. But like the effects that it had on this, pretty cool, not gonna lie. But that's also just because like it was a bad shot on my part. For me personally, I would prefer to stick with the G5s. I think I was more successful with those accuracy wise, and like consistently, I was consistently hitting the cinder block with the G5 brand. But as for flight and keeping it close to my field points, I would probably go with the Slick Trick Standard 100, just because that was pretty accurate as to how I would normally shoot with just a standard arrow. I hope y'all enjoyed watching these broadhead videos. They were so fun to make. I hope Corbin lets me make them again because I really enjoyed shooting these broadheads. Even though I was a little intimidated at first, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I would actually prefer to shoot broadheads over just a regular arrow, but that's an expensive game that we're gonna play if we ever did that, and I don't think we're ever gonna do that. But yeah, thanks for coming on this journey with us. Subscribe below if you enjoy these videos and you wanna see more of them, and we will see you next time.